Toot, this was sort of returning to the scene of the crime a little bit. This is where the losing streak started. The last game here was 7-1.
Wasn't here, Randy.
Sorry, not here, but against this team, rather. Was that part of the preparation at all?
No. I mean, we saw what they did to us that night, and we thought that there were reasons for it, and we made some adjustments that way. But I think it was more the kids having a great mentality on the ice and competing at a much higher level and making the game much more difficult for BC than we did when we played it back in Amherst.
Didn't give up a single penalty all game, and that has to probably help when you got a firepower offense over there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see a lot of that, but I mean, that makes it a lot easier not to have to kill penalties. And, I mean, they only took 2, and they were able to kill them. Although I thought our power play, which has been anemic of late, had many more good looks and did a better job possessing the puck and winning some battles. So there were a lot of positives in this game, but it's not about positives going into the last weekend of the season, just hanging on by a thread. It's about wins and W's. And although we don't try to overemphasize that, because you got to play the game and you got to stay within yourself, and the wins kind of take care of themselves. That's probably the most difficult piece to it, is that we thought we did what was necessary to get out of here with something, and we weren't able to do it, which speaks to their talent level.
What's your reaction after the goal? It seemed like a playoff game, and in many ways it kind of is, with you guys nipping on UNH's heels. What's the mood in the locker room after this game, knowing that you're keeping pace with UNH, and have a chance to play them next weekend for the Crown?
Well, we've talked up to this point that it's very important that we get these wins when we can. Especially, I think coach has been breaking it down into 3-4 game tournaments. We have 4 games to possibly win the Hockey East regular season title, then 4 games for the playoffs, and then enough 4 games for the NCAAs. So I think we're really in playoff mode right now. So I guess this wasn't a playoff game for us tonight.
Chris, can you talk about the burst of speed you had to use to get? I mean, looking at the play on replay, it was a 2-on-3 that you ended up turning into what eventually became a 2-on-1. How about the speed you had to use to get past the defenseman?
Well, I had to go to the post hard. I certainly think Pat kind of pushed me up the ice. He really turned it on, and just to keep up with him, I had to get my feet moving and build up a good amount of speed. So I think Pat Mullane really dictated the pace and made that play happen.
Chris, obviously, thrilled to score a winning goal, but you really gave a little extra fist pump there, or whatever, a little added excitement. What was the thought process there? I mean, what prompted that little extra jubilation?
Well, like I said, every game is so important at this point. A tie would have been fine, but that win puts that much more pressure on UNH, especially considering that they were going into overtime when we got off the ice. And we really want the ball to be in our court. We want to kind of dictate our own feet. So I personally was extremely happy to know that we could go into the weekend with UNH with fate in our own hands and not having to have them lose to Northeastern tonight.
Chris, 9 goals in 11 games. How do you keep up this streak that you're on, really, of this this offensive firepower?
My line mates have been extremely accommodating. When I got back from World Juniors, they were great. Ben Smith and Jimmy Hayes, we communicate really well. They're older, they're more mature, they played more hockey, they're smarter players and better players than me, so they let me know when I'm messing up. They do it the right way, and I think they've really helped me to get my timing down a little bit better and really work off them. And I think that our line's clicking. I think our whole team's really clicking. I mean, I feel like our offensive production it's off the charts in the past few weeks.
Chris, 4 games in 7 days. That's a little busy for most teams, especially this time of year when everything's usually pretty regular. What's been the key to making that work?
Focusing 1 game at a time, 1 shift at a time, 1 period at a time. Just breaking everything down. One of our captains tonight, he talked about not being afraid to lose and not hoping to win, but just going out there and playing within yourself and playing as hard as you possibly can and not really worrying about the outcome.
When it's only 1 game in the weekend instead of the usual 2, does it bring a little bit more of an emphasis to that 1 game, make it a little bigger deal?
Definitely. I mean, going into the break between the second and the third, we said this is our 1 game in the weekend. We got one period left in the weekend. We got to lay it all on the line.
6 minutes left.
We called the timeout because we got stuck on the ice there. It was an icing, and we had a fragment of a line. And we had Gibby out, who was fresh, but Maddie had both stayed on forever. So it was more just to rest that, because Marcuse and I was coming on the ice. That would have been a hard. We were tired right then, so it just gave us a rest period.
Does anything change in terms of preparation when, going back to what I was asking Chris, when you have 4 and 7 and then only 1 this weekend, when you have that kind of odd scheduling towards the end of the year, do you change anything in terms of the way you practice, what you set up for the team?
Yeah, we went, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday. So we generally go Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday. So it's a little bit different, but it's, I think we had shorter practices, and we were more interested in rest and being ready to play the next game. It was almost a pro schedule that Friday, Sunday, Tuesdays, Friday. So
how important is it when you have this long break until the next game and you have the full week to get a win and to get obviously a pretty emotional win?
Oh, like Chris said, we want to stay in the hunt. New Hampshire's had an unbelievable year, and we want to stay. We've talked about making a 2-possession game, like basketball talks about, just to give ourselves a chance going into the Friday night game. So,
Coach, for the first time, the last 2 games were blowouts for your team. Tonight, close game to the road. Is it important to see your team in this time of year able to play those close games? Because you're going to see a lot of those, I think.
Oh, no question, yeah. I think close games reveal character and make you really emphasize, what you need to do well to win a game. When everything's clicking and pucks going in the net, it's a little bit. It's like the U.S. and Finland today. It's not going to be the same when they play Canada. It's going to be a much more competitive game. And I think as we go down the stretch, these games are all going to become very competitive.
We've seen Parker Milner in the last 3 games. Is he going to be the full-time starter, or are you still going to use the rotation there with Johnny?
We're still kind of evaluating, but certainly Parker's put a pretty good statement out that he can play at this level, play very well. It's the first time for a while that we've been blessed with 2 really good goaltenders. So we feel very fortunate now. It goes back to Kelleher and Kelly. I think we've had 2 goaltenders that could, but we're deep in goal, which is I think an important part of being a good hockey team.